The year was 2016. A tumultuous election season gripped America. Donald Trump, the outspoken businessman, had become the Republican nominee for president. His fiery rhetoric and unconventional campaign style had polarized the nation. Supporters cheered his every word, while critics watched in disbelief and concern. Yet beneath the surface of this already heated political climate, a chilling plot was brewing. A plot so audacious, so sinister, it seemed ripped from the pages of a spy thriller. Whispers of the conspiracy first surfaced in the intelligence community. Cryptic messages intercepted, unusual patterns of travel detected. Piece by piece, a picture began to emerge, revealing a network of individuals with a shared, deadly goal to assassinate Donald Trump. The details were murky, the motives unclear, but the threat was undeniable. This was not the work of lone wolves or disgruntled citizens. The plot, as investigators would soon discover, involved a complex web of international players, each with their own motivations and agendas. From the heart of Europe to the bustling streets of Tehran, a diverse cast of characters had converged, united by a common purpose: to silence Donald Trump permanently. As the presidential campaign entered its final feverish months, the race to uncover and dismantle this deadly conspiracy was on. The fate of the nation, it seemed, hung precariously in the balance. The plot to silence Trump extended beyond the man himself. His family, those closest to him, were also marked. Melania, his wife, and his children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, Eric, Tiffany, and Barron, all became potential victims. Their faces, so familiar from television and newspapers, were now targets. This personal dimension added a layer of chilling urgency to the investigation. Security details were immediately reinforced. Every movement, every public appearance was scrutinized for potential threats. The weight of knowing that an unknown enemy lurked in the shadows, ready to strike at any moment, took its toll. The campaign, once a whirlwind of rallies and speeches, now had an undercurrent of fear. The crowds remained, their enthusiasm undimmed, but behind the scenes, a sense of dread lingered. The knowledge that the most powerful country in the world couldn't fully protect its own citizens from this kind of threat was a sobering reality. The plot to kill Trump was more than just a political assassination attempt. It was a strike at the heart of American democracy. In the annals of international espionage, few names inspired as much fear and intrigue as Thomas Crooks. A shadowy figure, rumored to operate in the darkest corners of the globe, Crooks was a ghost, a whisper, a phantom menace spoken of only in hushed tones. His true allegiance remained a mystery, a blank canvas upon which intelligence agencies around the world projected their worst fears. Some whispered that he was a former British intelligence officer, disillusioned and seeking to reshape the world order. Others claimed he was a gun for hire, a mercenary willing to sell his deadly expertise to the highest bidder. Regardless of his true identity, one thing was certain: Thomas Crooks was a master of his craft. His methods were as varied as they were effective. He could disappear into a crowd as easily as he could orchestrate a high-stakes extraction from a fortified compound. He was a chameleon, a master of disguise, blending seamlessly into any environment. His ability to evade detection had earned him a mythical status within the intelligence community. He was a phantom, a specter that haunted the dreams of those who dared to cross him. Crooks' involvement in the plot to silence Trump sent shockwaves through the intelligence community. It was a sign, some argued, that he had finally chosen a side, aligning himself with forces determined to sow chaos and disrupt the global order. Section 4. Farhad Shakiri, the enigmatic figure from the shadows. While Thomas Crooks represented the cold, calculating face of the conspiracy, Farhad Shakiri embodied its volatile, unpredictable heart. Hailing from the war-torn streets of an unnamed Middle Eastern nation, Shakiri had witnessed firsthand the brutality and chaos that defined the region. His past was shrouded in mystery, a tapestry woven from whispers and rumors. Some claimed he had been a child soldier, hardened by years of conflict. Others whispered of ties to extremist groups, of a man driven by a thirst for vengeance against the West. What was undeniable was Shakiri's charisma and his ability to command loyalty. He possessed a dangerous allure, a fiery intensity that drew followers to his cause. His words, laced with anger and resentment, resonated with those who felt marginalized and forgotten. He spoke of a world on the brink of collapse, a world where the old order would be swept away and replaced with something new, something better. Shaqiri's role in the plot to eliminate Trump remained unclear. Was he a key player, a mastermind pulling the strings from the shadows, or was he a pawn, a useful idiot manipulated by more powerful forces? Section 5. A web of international intrigue. The investigation into the plot against Trump quickly spiraled into a tangled web of international intrigue, spanning continents and ensnaring a cast of characters as diverse as their motives. Intelligence agencies from around the world found themselves thrust into an unprecedented collaboration, sharing classified information and resources in a desperate race against time. From the bustling streets of Paris, where a network of hackers with suspected ties to Russian intelligence operated, to the ancient bazaars of Istanbul, where arms dealers and smugglers brokered dangerous deals, the trail of the conspiracy wound its way across the globe. Each new lead uncovered seemed to only deepen the mystery, revealing layers upon layers of deception and betrayal. The sheer scope of the plot was staggering. It spoke to a level of coordination and sophistication that sent chills down the spines of even the most seasoned intelligence professionals. Who was behind this? What were their ultimate goals? And how deep did the rabbit hole go? Whoa, did that just happen? If you're hooked, hit that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you'll never miss a story that'll leave you speechless. Here at Crazy Story Channel, we're bringing you the unexpected, the thrilling, and the unbelievable. You won't want to miss what's coming next. See you in the next video. A nation in mourning, a shadow of revenge. The streets of Tehran were awash in a sea of black, a visual testament to the collective grief of a nation. Millions of mourners chanted in unison, their voices echoing with grief and rage, a powerful symphony of sorrow and defiance. The air crackled with the promise of retribution, a palpable tension that hung over the city like a storm cloud. General Qasem Soleimani, the revered commander of the Quds Force, was dead, his image now a rallying cry for the grieving masses. Killed by an American drone strike, ordered by President Donald Trump, his death marked a pivotal moment in the ongoing conflict. The date was January 3, 2020, a day that would be etched into the annals of history. The world held its breath, watching with bated breath as the ramifications of this act unfolded. The assassination sent shockwaves across the globe, reverberating through international corridors of power. In Iran, it was seen as a declaration of war, a direct affront to their sovereignty and pride. Soleimani was not just a military leader. He was an icon, a symbol of Iranian strength and defiance, revered by many as a national hero. His death ignited a firestorm of anger and a thirst for revenge that spread like wildfire through the corridors of power in Tehran, uniting factions in their common cause. The message was clear: America would pay, and the cries for vengeance grew louder with each passing day. The Trump administration defended the strike as a necessary act of self-defense, citing Soleimani's role in orchestrating attacks on American forces in the Middle East, a justification that did little to quell the rising tensions. But the assassination also marked a dangerous escalation in the already volatile relationship between the two countries, pushing them closer to the brink of open conflict. It was a gamble, a high-stakes move with potentially catastrophic consequences, a roll of the dice in a game where the stakes were nothing less than global stability. And in the shadows, Iran began to plot its revenge, a calculated response that would send ripples through the geopolitical landscape for years to come. The architect of power, Qasem Soleimani. To understand the depth of Iran's fury, one must understand the man they called the Shadow Commander. Qasem Soleimani was a figure shrouded in both mystery and reverence, a man whose influence extended far beyond the borders of Iran. Qasem Soleimani was no ordinary general. He was a symbol of Iran's military prowess and strategic depth, a man who operated in the shadows but whose actions had far-reaching consequences. He was the mastermind behind Iran's regional ambitions, the architect of its vast network of proxies and allies. His strategic vision and operational acumen were instrumental in shaping Iran's foreign policy. He was a cunning strategist, a charismatic leader, and a ruthless operator. His ability to inspire loyalty and fear in equal measure made him a formidable force in the Middle East. For over 2 decades, Soleimani had commanded the Quds Force, the elite overseas arm of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Under his leadership, the Quds Force became a powerful tool of Iran's foreign policy, extending its influence across the region. He was the driving force behind Iran's support for Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria. His strategic alliances and military support were crucial in maintaining these groups' strength and resilience. He was a key player in the fight against ISIS, coordinating with American forces even as he plotted against them. This duality of cooperation and opposition defined much of his career. Soleimani was more than just a military commander. He was a national hero, revered by many Iranians for his unwavering commitment to the Islamic Republic and its ideals. His presence was a source of national pride and a symbol of resistance against foreign intervention. He was seen as a protector, a guardian against the perceived threats from the West and its allies. His actions were often framed as defensive measures to safeguard Iran's sovereignty and security. His death was a blow to Iran's pride, a wound that cut deep into the nation's psyche. The loss of such a pivotal figure was felt across the country, sparking a wave of mourning and anger, and it was a call to arms. His assassination galvanized many Iranians, uniting them in a shared sense of loss and a renewed determination to defend their nation against external threats. The Quds Force, Iran's instrument of retribution. The task of avenging Soleimani fell to the organization he had led for so long, the Quds Force. This shadowy unit, shrouded in secrecy and operating outside the traditional military chain of command, was uniquely positioned to carry out Iran's revenge. The Quds Force was Iran's scalpel, its instrument of covert warfare and asymmetric attacks. The Quds Force was not a conventional military force. It was a network of operatives, spies, and proxies, spread across the Middle East and beyond. They were masters of unconventional warfare, skilled in sabotage, assassination, and terrorism. They had the reach, the resources, and the ruthlessness to strike at the heart of America's interests, both at home and abroad. The Quds Force had a long history of targeting American interests. They were blamed for the 1983 bombing of the U.S. Marine barracks in Beirut, which killed 241 American servicemen. They had supplied sophisticated roadside bombs to Iraqi insurgents during the Iraq War, killing and maiming hundreds of American soldiers. And now, they were tasked with avenging their fallen leader. The stakes had never been higher. A plot takes shape. The intricate web of vengeance, meticulously crafted in the shadows. In the aftermath of Soleimani's assassination, the Quds Force began to weave a complex web of vengeance. Their target, Donald Trump, the man who had ordered the drone strike that killed their revered leader. The former president, who had ordered the drone strike that killed Soleimani, was seen as the ultimate prize, a symbol of American aggression and arrogance. To the Quds Force, striking Trump would be a blow to the heart of American power. But plotting an attack on American soil against a heavily guarded former president was a daunting task, even for the Quds Force. The layers of security around Trump were nearly impenetrable. The plotters faced numerous challenges. They had to navigate a labyrinth of security measures and counterintelligence operations. The United States had a sophisticated intelligence apparatus, a vast network of spies and analysts dedicated to preventing terrorist attacks. Every move was scrutinized, every signal intercepted. Trump himself was surrounded by a phalanx of Secret Service agents trained to protect him at all costs. Their vigilance was unyielding, their loyalty unquestionable, and any attack on American soil would be met with swift and devastating retaliation. The American military was always on high alert, ready to respond to any threat. Despite the risks, the Quds Force pressed on, driven by a potent mix of ideology and revenge. Their resolve was unshakable, their mission clear. They explored various options, from cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, aiming to cripple the nation's vital systems and sow chaos, to assassinations of high-profile American officials, each plan more daring and dangerous than the last. They sought to recruit assets within the United States, individuals who could provide intelligence or logistical support. These operatives would be the eyes and ears on the ground, and they waited for the opportune moment to strike. Time was both their ally and their enemy as they meticulously planned their next move. The intelligence battlefield unveiling the shadows. As the Quds Force plotted their revenge, American intelligence agencies were working tirelessly to uncover their plans. The CIA, the FBI, and the NSA, along with their international partners, were engaged in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, trying to stay one step ahead of their Iranian adversaries. The intelligence community faced its own set of challenges. The Quds Force was a notoriously difficult target, operating in the shadows and relying on a vast network of proxies and cutouts. Iran was a closed society, with limited human intelligence assets and a sophisticated counterintelligence apparatus. And the threat was constantly evolving, with the Quds Force adapting its tactics and seeking new ways to strike. Despite the difficulties, American intelligence agencies scored some successes. They intercepted communications, monitored financial transactions, and cultivated sources within Iran and its proxy networks. They shared intelligence with their allies, warning of potential threats and working to disrupt Iranian operations. But the threat remained real, and the clock was ticking. Voiceover with suspenseful music. Think this story was wild? Trust me, there's a lot more where that came from. Hit that subscribe button and join us here on the Crazy Story channel, where we uncover the most shocking, mind-blowing stories from around the world. Don't miss out on the next twist that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Like, subscribe, and dive into more crazy stories.